Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Right now at noon, we are learning more about a man charged with shooting and killing 2 people over the weekend in Durham. The new information we now know about a possible hostage situation connected to the shootings.
And I'm tracking the next system that's headed our way. It's down on the Gulf Coast. I'll show you what they're seeing there and when we could see some severe storms here. Plus, tomorrow is election day for runoffs in 2 statewide races. What you need to know to cast your vote.
Good Monday afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey in for Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us.
Right now, a man charged with murdering 2 people in 2 Durham shootings just had his first court appearance.
Brandon Eno faces 2 counts of first-degree murder after Durham police found Jennifer Eno and Scott Snyder shot on Saturday. WRAL's Monica Casey joins us live from the Durham County Courthouse. Monica, you got some new information about a possible hostage situation.
Yeah, Michelle, that's right. The assistant.
Take a look at this huge explosion out of Gaza this weekend. Israel sent tanks into the northern Gaza Strip yesterday after a night of heavy aerial and ground bombardments. According to Gaza's health ministry, the death toll in Gaza has now reached at least 35,000 Palestinians. Jabalia, the city where the explosion happened, is the biggest of Gaza's 8 historic refugee camps and home to more than 100,000 people.
That explosion comes just days after a U.S. report concluded that it's likely Israel violated international law in Gaza. U.S. lawmakers are defending and attacking it. Bree Jackson reports.
Israel issuing new evacuation orders over the weekend for parts of Rafah, even after a new report is further raising concerns about its military operations and civilian deaths.
It's reasonable to conclude that there are instances where Israel has acted in ways that are not consistent with international humanitarian law.
But the State Department says it has not verified specific instances that would justify withholding military aid to Israel. That's something some lawmakers urge the White House to do.
I think any objective observer knows Israel has broken international law. It has broken American law. And in my view, Israel should not be receiving another nickel in U.S. military aid.
Other members of Congress are pushing back.
Americans should be all in helping Israel against an existential threat. The one thing Israel and America has in common, Hamas would attack us if they could.
Secretary of State Blinken declined to identify the administration's red line with Israel, but did double down on its stance on Rafah and the more than 1 million people sheltering there.
Absent a credible plan to get them out of harm's way and to support them, the president's been clear for some time that we couldn't and would not support a major military operation in Rafah.
To Congress does not find that the Israeli government is blocking the transport or delivery of humanitarian assistance.
Back here in the WRAL Live Center, we just got some breaking news a little bit ago. This is from, we're learning that the UNC Chapel Hill Board of Trustees held a special meeting this morning, and they unanimously voted to move $2.3 million, that was money that was spent on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and instead put it toward police and other public safety measures. And I'm showing this video here in the background just to illustrate, because the protest that we had seen on campus, that was one of the reasons Dave Bullock, a Board of Trustees member, said that these talks were why they were happened there. He said because of also an on-campus shooting that happened at the beginning of this year. But again, these recent protests was another thing that was referenced. Now, in response to UNC's System Board of Governors directing universities to no longer fund DEI initiatives, that is why we have seen this vote. So we're going to still try to get more specific information regarding this vote that was happening. But also, we're going to work to get you more information on that scene. We just learned this is a confirmed shooting in Durham at that apartment complex. Come back to me in a couple minutes. I'll give you more details.
Okay, thank you, Chris. At least 37 people have died and more than a dozen are injured on Indonesia's Sumatra Island. That's after heavy rains triggered flash flooding and caused a cold lava flow from an active volcano. Most of the people who died are from the Agam Regency, where more than 100 buildings and homes have also been affected. And on a different island of Indonesia, a different volcano erupted this morning. This is the Ibu volcano on the remote island of Halmahera. The country's volcanology agency says that it spewed gray ash into the sky as high as 3 miles. All activities within a 3-mile radius have stopped. Indonesia sits on the ring of fire with 127 active volcanoes.
We had a beautiful end to our weekend, beautiful Sunday weather-wise, and as we start our Monday, it was chilly this morning. Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio. We've at least warmed up a bunch.
We have. It feels very comfortable out here, even in short sleeves, but it has really clouded up. Early this morning when we were taking a look around the area, we saw so much beautiful sunshine, and now it is cloudy out here. This is a look at Southern Pines, and it looks pretty empty out there on the golf course. You know, now's the time to get out there before the rain starts because it's going to be a very unsettled weekend for us. Right now it's 74 degrees. Our winds are variable 3 miles per hour, and our humidity is still nice and low from the weekend. It feels fantastic. We'll climb another 5 or 6 degrees into the low 80s for highs this afternoon. It is 68 in Roxborough, 73 in South Hill, 75 in Southern Pines and in Goldsboro. So just feeling very comfortable all across the area. We'll hit 81 for the high in Raleigh, 80 in Durham, and 83 in Fayetteville. And again, with low humidity, it's going to feel fantastic. But this is the last day that we'll see the low humidity. Because we're moving into a wetter pattern, we're going to start to see that humidity really climbing, not just creeping, but I mean like skyrocketing. Right now we're at 54, and that is a very comfortable dew point. Again, that number is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. So in the 50s is very comfortable this time of year. You get to steamy and tropical, though, over the next few days. We take a look at that curvy line, and tomorrow we're tropical, and we're going to hold it in steamy to tropical all the way through Saturday. And again, that's just based on the amount of moisture that'll be in the atmosphere, and it's going to be a bit more uncomfortable. It's going to be a cooler day tomorrow. We're going to see a lot of this rain that's down to the south. We talked about this at the beginning of the newscast. The orange shaded area is a severe thunderstorm watch, and then the red shaded area just popped up a brand new tornado watch. And there have been just a number of thunderstorms along this complex producing severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings. So a lot of severe weather happening down there right along the Gulf Coast. We're starting to see a little bit of rain coming from Atlanta up into the mountains of North Carolina, and we'll see a few sprinkles, just kind of the leading edge of this starting around 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. We'll roll through that again. Here's 7 p.m. A tiny shower. Doesn't really make much headway into our area until tomorrow morning. But the morning commute will be dealing with some scattered showers, probably nothing terribly heavy, but it will be wet enough for your umbrella most likely during the morning. There's 9 o'clock and noon. And then after lunchtime, we start to see some heavier waves of precipitation coming in and some thunderstorm potential. Again, we do have some of our southern counties that are in that level 1 risk for severe storms. There's 5 o'clock, really starting to get heavier. And then that's going to be the case all the way through the evening and, of course, into the day tomorrow. There's Tuesday at 8 p.m. and we'll continue to watch those showers and thunderstorms across our area. As I mentioned, it's going to be cooler along with this too. We do have that level 1 risk for severe storms, and our southern counties, damaging winds and heavy rain are going to be our biggest threats. And then Wednesday from Raleigh eastward, we'll have that severe weather threat at that point. So checking out our cloud cover, we're looking at the skies becoming cloudier and cloudier to 100% once we get into the evening. Check out the temperature for tomorrow. We talked about 81 today. It'll be 73 tomorrow, but then after that, we have highs in the 80s. But once we get past Wednesday, Thursday, it's looking like a beautiful day, but another chance for rain on Friday and Saturday. We'll talk about how much we could see coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Coming up for us at 4, the DOT asking state lawmakers to raise toll fines. Find out how much more you could pay if the agency gets its way.
Then at 5 p.m., Carolina Hurricanes tickets are hot right now, but watch out. Find out how one woman got scammed and ended up with no tickets at all and a hit to her bank account. And still ahead this noon, if you have a Hyundai or Kia, you might want to double check your car's lock. Ahead, the new report showing the most stolen vehicle models.
And take a look at this, a plane that hit the runway with no landing gear when the pilot knew something was wrong. Coming up.
McDonald's is working on a $5 value meal for its customers. It could include 4 items, a McChicken or McDouble, along with 4-piece chicken nuggets, French fries, and a drink. Word of a potential new value meal comes after McDonald's CEO recently said consumers are, quote, even more discriminating with every dollar they spend. He says the chain needs to be laser focused on affordability to pull diners in.
Cars from Hyundai, Kia, and Kia topped the list of the most stolen vehicles last year. Hyundai's Elantra was stolen more than 48,000 times. That's according to the National Insurance Crime Bureau. And the automaker's Sonata was second with 43,000 thefts reported to police. The Optima sedan from Kia was reported stolen more than 30,000 times. And some older Hyundai and Kia vehicles have seen the theft rate soar. The models lack some basic anti-theft technologies.
All right, take a look at this. A plane in Australia comes in for a landing, wheels up, not the designed way. Landing gear wasn't working. It was carrying 3 people, pilot and 2 passengers. It circled the area for 3 hours, burned off some fuel before it came and touched down. Authorities say the pilot raised concerns shortly after the plane took off from the airport north of Sydney. Local media reports the issue with the plane was that failed landing gear. They were all safe, though.
Thank goodness for that. Well, coming up, childcare workers are making their voices heard today. What the people who take care of your kids want you to know as COVID funding is set to expire.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, I am still monitoring this very active scene over in Durham. After the break, we're going to talk a little bit about what we know from police, including a juvenile who was shot.
And as we head to break, here are your winning lottery numbers. Good luck.
Starting off the 12:30 half hour here in the WRAL Live Center. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Lovingood. We finally have more information from Durham Police regarding this scene off Wabash Street. That's at an apartment complex there. Police just told us a little bit ago a juvenile was shot, a boy specifically. This happened around 11:26 when they responded, so a little more than an hour ago. The boy was taken to the hospital and he is expected to be okay. As the shooting is being investigated, WRAL is taking more questions to police, including, are they looking for a suspect? Where specifically was the boy shot? And had they been able to locate the firearm that was used? Stay with WRAL as we continue to track this developing story here in the WRAL Live Center.
Chris, thanks. Child care workers are rallying for higher pay today in Durham.
Yeah, WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains why the people who take care of your children say they need to be paid better.
Dozens of people are expected to come here to Forest Hills Park later today. They're calling for higher pay for child care workers, a group of people so many families depend on. But let's put child care worker pay into perspective. The median wage for child care center staff is $12 an hour. The median wage is $9 an hour for people who offer child care at home. Those are the latest numbers from a statewide study. That pay is at least $9 less than the state's living wage, according to the Living Wage Institute. Today's rally comes as COVID funding for child care is about to expire. Without that funding, more than 1,000 child care centers could risk closing. That rally starts today at 5 o'clock and it's open to the public. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Durham.
And this afternoon, you're invited to share your thoughts about how Wake County plans to spend your tax dollars. The Board of Commissioners will have a work session at 2 o'clock this afternoon to talk about the $2 billion budget. You can give your opinion by filling out a form on the county website, which is wake.gov. There will also be public hearings on the budget on May 20th and 21st, and the board will then consider any proposed changes. Commissioners plan to vote on the budget June 3rd. A firefighter is hurt after working to put out a fire at a Nightdale home. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker got this video of the scene on Jumping Frog Lane last night. Several people are out of their home because of that fire. The Red Cross is assisting. The firefighter was taken to the Chapel Hill Burn Center. We don't know the extent of their injuries. We are working to learn what caused the fire.
And we're also working to learn more about this situation that played out in Johnston County yesterday. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, and you can see at least 6 deputy sheriff's vehicles on a property off of NC 242 South. We've reached out to the Johnston County Sheriff's Office for information about what they are investigating, but have not heard back yet.
3 people, including a 10-year-old, are recovering after someone shot into their mobile home. It happened on Lockamy Road, just outside of Clinton in Sampson County, just after 2 o'clock yesterday morning. Around 30 bullet holes were visible between the side of the home and the window. A 10-year-old, 18-year-old, and a 19-year-old were all airlifted to a hospital. Family members told WRAL that everyone's doing okay, but they don't know much about what happened. Right now, police don't have anyone in custody.
Tomorrow, voters will go to the polls to decide runoff elections for 3 Republican races. Those are the races for lieutenant governor, state auditor, and the 13th congressional district. In Orange County, the 3rd seat on the school's Board of Education will also be decided. For a full list of who is running, where you can vote, and what to take with you, check out our voter guide on WRAL.com. And then after the polls close, you can find the results on air and online, with results and analysis on our late news at 10 and 11.
Happening today, jury selection begins in the bribery case against Senator Bob Menendez in New York. Menendez and his wife are facing charges related to a years-long bribery scheme involving the governments of Egypt and Qatar. Federal prosecutors say Menendez and his wife received gold bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in exchange for political favors. This is the second bribery and corruption trial for the senator in 7 years. Menendez has refused to say if he'll resign if he's convicted.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Johnston, Moore, and Cumberland counties. In Johnston County, tomorrow morning, 6 miles of I-40 will be dedicated to the late Jimmy Capps. The dedication ceremony will happen tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the Benson Conference Center. Jimmy Capps was a well-known country singer born in Fayetteville and raised in Benson. He became the regular lead guitarist for the Grand Ole Opry Band in Nashville, Tennessee, and Capps died in 2020 at the age of 81. In Moore County, you're invited to share your opinion on the town of Southern Pines budget. There'll be a public hearing tomorrow, 6 p.m. in the C. Michael Haney Community Room at the police station. You can visit the website on your screen to dig deeper into the budget ahead of that meeting. More info is also posted on the town's Facebook page. You can buy yourself and your family a new book or two at the Cumberland County Public Library. This is for the library's Friends of the Library book sales event. It's happening this month. The sale is happening at the Cumberland County Headquarters Library. It's on Maiden Lane in Fayetteville. Members only is happening tonight, or actually right now until 5 p.m. tonight at the library. And members of the public can then make purchases starting Friday at noon. That'll also happen Saturday starting at 10 a.m. and again Sunday starting at 2 p.m.
There is a new member of the Durham Police Department, Siren the therapy dog. The Canine Responder Academy in Charlotte gave Siren to the department for free through a scholarship. Siren will be assigned to Sergeant Lafferty, who is the handler of Canine Darrow, who was shot back in 2021. Siren was chosen for her lovable and docile personality. She received her name from the academy because when you hear a siren, you know that help is coming, and they hope when you see the canine, you know that she is there to help.
Tonight, final 9 contestants compete on The Voice, and that includes 2 from here in North Carolina. Tay Lewis of Goldsboro and Josh Sanders of Kannapolis will both perform in tonight's live semifinals. Viewers will vote to decide the 5 singers who will move on to next week's season finale. You can watch it all happen tonight at 8 on WRAL.
We now know who will play in the NFL kickoff game Thursday, September 5th. If you missed it, Mike Tirico announced this morning on Today that the Baltimore Ravens will play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs beat the Ravens in this year's AFC Championship 17-10. The full NBC Sunday night football schedule will be released Wednesday evening.
But I know the Chiefs are going to be the first team out.
Yeah, I know.
Stakeouts, surveillance, and fake buyers. Car theft rings are targeting dealerships at an alarming rate. Local dealerships are being hit by smash-and-grab thieves looking for high-performance cars. Tonight, WRAL investigates tricks dealers are into, and they're onto now, the changes that they're making because of them and the effect that it's having on anyone in the market for a new car. It's all tonight at 6 on WRAL.
And coming up at noon, every 40 seconds, someone in the U.S. has a stroke. We'll go over the warning signs when seconds count.
Also, despite insurance, many cancer patients are paying more than they can afford for treatment. We'll break down the numbers for you.
WRAL Live Center. We've learned within the past hour there was a third trespassing incident reported at Drake's Toronto mansion up in Canada. We learned that this actually happened on Saturday, and it turns out, according to authorities there, the person accused of trespassing last Thursday is the same person who trespassed on Saturday. Police there say the man went back to, quote, get his bike back. After he was removed from the property, he was given a ticket for trespassing. I did look to see if Drake had mentioned anything on his Instagram. His handle's known as Champagne Poppy, but no post about it.
May is American Stroke Month. According to the CDC, every 40 seconds someone has a stroke in the U.S. If you suspect someone is having a stroke, try to remember the acronym Be Fast. It stands for Balance, Eyes, Face, Arm, Speech, and Time. Is the person experiencing sudden issues with their balance or coordination? Are they having trouble seeing? Do you notice any drooping or numbness in their face or weakness in their arms? Are they having difficulty with their speech? And time is a reminder to call 911 right away.
When a stroke does happen, there's a sudden loss of neurologic function, which could be very devastating. It can range from loss of vision, loss of speech, loss of motor function, to complete incapacitation.
Yep. Treatment options vary based on the severity. The same goes for recovery. Being aware to the signs and responding quickly can make a world of difference.
Rick Slayman, the person who received a genetically modified pig kidney transplant, died on Saturday. He underwent the transplant surgery to receive the pig kidney 2 months ago in Boston. Surgeons said they believe the kidney would last for at least 2 years. The transplant team says there is no indication that he died as a result of the transplant. His family thanked the doctors for giving them a few more weeks with their loved one. And almost half of cancer patients and survivors have debt, despite most of them being insured. That's according to a new study. It looked at responses from over 1,000 patients and survivors who have been treated for cancer in the past 7 years. Nearly 70% have had the debt for over a year, and more than a third have had debt for over 3 years. Black and Hispanic patients with debt are around 2 times as likely as white patients to be denied care because of their debt.
We now know more about how clean electricity initiatives around the world are expanding. The hope a new report provides. Next.
Plus, an example of neighbors helping neighbors after tragedy struck their homes. How some people who live on the same road in Florida are working together after storms left devastation behind. Clean electricity initiatives around the world are expanding. A new report sheds light on how many people are using renewable energy. Chris DeMaio explains the new hope this report reveals and the work that still needs to be done.
When it comes to combating the effects of human-caused climate change, surges in clean energy use are sparking some hope. This according to data from London-based think tank Ember, which reveals a record-breaking 30% of global electricity generated last year came from renewable energy sources that don't produce greenhouse gas emissions. Researchers found hydroelectric dams produced the most clean energy last year, but cite declines in hydropower levels due to persistent droughts across North America, India, and China. Meanwhile, the report says solar power continues being the fastest-growing source of electricity generation.
It's been a long time coming, actually.
The report found more than twice as much solar power was added around the world than coal power.
I wouldn't necessarily use the word death knell to describe the coal power industry, but it is in terminal decline.
This revelation comes as coal-fired power plants in the U.S. are facing new regulations. Last month, the Environmental Protection Agency ruled these facilities must reduce 90% of their greenhouse gas emissions by 2039 or stop operating.
The amount of electric power generation that we get from coal has been declining for many years. And part of the reason for that is because actually coal technology is more expensive, generally speaking, than natural gas technology, which is also cleaner.
And with global electricity usage in 2023 up by about 2%, experts say communities must continue advancements in clean energy production to chip away at energy produced from fossil fuels.
We will go through several decades of transition where we will have to make concerted efforts to rebuild our infrastructure to support electrification.
That was Chris DeMaio reporting.
After 3 tornadoes touched down near Tallahassee, Florida, neighbors are helping neighbors. Some people on this road can't get out because the debris is blocking the road. Neighbors have turned their backyard into a makeshift pathway for their fellow neighbors. Dozens of people who live on that street are dealing with devastating damage to their homes and no power. Power lines are hanging down, keeping landscaping crews away for the time being. Nasty weather around the country.
Yeah.
We've dodged it for the most part.
For now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is on the WRAL weather patio outside, Elizabeth, and we're clear for now, but we are expecting some rain to move in tomorrow.
We may see some of that later on this evening, but it would be just a quick sprinkle. But it is likely to be wet for us during the morning commute tomorrow. We take a look at some cloud cover. Earlier this morning, it was so pretty. We had some nice sunshine out there. But right now, as we take a look here, little sun trying to peek through some high, thin clouds, and that's what we're seeing everywhere. Goldsboro, Apex, the same. Fayetteville there at our newsroom, and Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Everybody's starting to see those clouds thickening up. And here's why. We'll go ahead and throw this into motion, and you can see the cloud cover pushing on into North Carolina, some showers into the mountains, and some rain there in South Carolina. This is all ahead of a pretty hefty system that's down to the south, and that one is likely to help bring us some scattered thunderstorms. We do have ongoing thunderstorms. We have tornado watches, tornado warnings, as well as severe thunderstorm warnings and watches as well down there along the Gulf Coast. So they're having a rough day of it for sure. This is a look at the extent of the level 3 risk. That level 3 risk is in orange there, and it just spreads all across the Gulf Coast. So they're, again, in for quite an afternoon, especially as they get some of that daytime heating. So we will see that leading edge of the level 1 risk sneaking into our southern counties for tomorrow. And so that's going to be parts of Moore County, all of Hoke County, part of Cumberland and Sampson County. Biggest threat would be wind damage. And there'll be some heavy rain with this too, especially overnight on Tuesday night into Wednesday. We'll likely see a few scattered showers around 6 a.m. during the morning commute, and not likely to see storms until later in the morning. So at 9 o'clock, you can see that line that develops as looking heavier. Could be a few isolated thunderstorms between 9 and noon. And then again, 3 o'clock, we're seeing some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms again. And then after that, more showers overnight Tuesday night into the day on Wednesday. So this is going to be an ongoing wet pattern for us. Here's a look at Wednesday, and you can see Wednesday morning looks a little bit on the dry side, but you can see how the rain that picks up in intensity and coverage there by lunchtime. And then we start to see some yellows and oranges show up. That's typically an indication of some scattered thunderstorms that will start late in the day. Thursday right now looks dry. As a matter of fact, we should see a little bit of sunshine. So if you're planning to get out at all after today, it really looks like Thursday is going to be your best bet. For tomorrow, of course, we have that level 1 risk, and Wednesday we do too. It just shifts to our eastern counties along the I-95 corridor. And again, damaging winds and heavy rain would be our biggest threats. So it's an 80% chance for today, 20% chance this evening, 80% tomorrow, 60 on Wednesday, 20 Thursday just to kind of cover the bases, and then 40 on Friday. It looks like afternoon and evening storms. We still haven't caught up from our very dry April, so it will be nice to have some heavier rainfall, looking at anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches by the time we get to Friday. So we definitely need it. Of course, Friday, Saturday, both could be wet. So if you had weekend plans, right now Sunday looks dry, but I'll tell you what, the computer models are in no sort of agreement about what may happen over the weekend. So if you have plans to be outside, keep checking in.
Thanks for that, Elizabeth. Also coming up, if you had a baby in the past year, here's a list that might not surprise you. The top baby names of 2023. It's out now. We have the results. See if your name's on it.
I don't think our names are on it.
No.
Welcome back. You were looking live at North Hill. Some clouds in the sky there. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. Right now, Durham police are investigating a shooting that left one person hurt. Officers were sent to the 1200 block of Wabash Street. When they got to the scene, they found a juvenile male shot. EMS took him to the hospital. He has non-life-threatening injuries. Police did not release any information about a suspect.
At a special meeting this morning, the UNC Chapel Hill Board of Trustees unanimously voted to move $2.3 million that the university spends on DEI programs toward police and other public safety measures. This is in response to the UNC System Board of Governors directing universities to no longer fund DEI initiatives. They're expected to make that official last week.
And this morning, fallen police officers were honored with a memorial ceremony. It's part of National Police Week. Community members and loved ones came together at Hayes Barton Baptist Church to remember and honor those for their service and sacrifices. 23 Wake County fallen law enforcement officers were honored, including Gabriel Torres from the Raleigh Police Department and Deputy Ned Bird from the Sheriff's Office.
A Texas woman is marking a major milestone. Families and friends gathered Mother's Day weekend to celebrate Viola Ford Fletcher, 110 years old. Look at that. She turned 110 on May 5th. Fletcher's the oldest living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre in Oklahoma. At least 300 people died and thousands were left homeless after a white mob attacked a black community.
Oh, I'm real proud to be at this age. I have many, so many I can't mention, but it's a blessing to live this long and easy to do. If I can do it, others can.
Fletcher has a foundation to help people with health, education, and other initiatives. Her family members say they want to see Fletcher continue to live out her days and help others through that foundation.
A 7